Language and its symbols. Concepts studied: proper name, empirical description, conceivable, common name, universal description. Language employs four kinds of symbols to represent reality. Two to symbolize the individual, two to symbolize the essence which is common to all the individual members of a class. Individual and aggregate. Language can symbolize an individual or an aggregate by either a proper name or a particular or empirical description. For example, London. London is a proper name and is an aggregate. Marco Polo is a proper name and is an individual. The United States is a proper name and it is an aggregate. Let's see some examples with empirical description. The furniture in this house. We are talking about one specific furniture, which is the furniture in this house. And we use an empirical description to symbolize this furniture. Another example, the computer that I bought last year. So this is a specific computer and I use the description to represent its individuality. Words that represent no reality are not symbols. They are only empty words devoid of meaning. A proper name or an empirical description must symbolize an individual or an aggregate existing in fact or in fiction. Hamlet, the man who killed Libert Valens, Frodo, they exist either in reality or in fiction. If the proper name or empirical description doesn't symbolize an individual or aggregate existing in fact or in fiction, it's devoid of meaning. For example, the present Emperor of the United States. It doesn't exist, so it is devoid of meaning. Essence. Language can symbolize essence by either a common name or a universal description. For example, child, tree, chair, square represent essences. They don't represent a specific child, a specific tree, a specific chair, a specific square, but they represent the essence, the concept, the idea that we have in our mind of child, tree, chair, and square. Let's see some examples using a universal description. A rational animal, an organ of sight, the oval object with a hard shell that is produced by female birds, especially chickens, eaten as food. In all these examples, I am talking about descriptions, about universal description. When I say a rational animal, I mean all the rational animals. When I say an organ of sight, I mean all the organs of sight. I could have used a common name such as man to represent the rational animal and eye to say an organ of sight. With the third description, the oval object with a hard shell that is produced by female birds, especially chickens eaten as food, we know that I am talking about egg. So I can use either a common name or a universal description to symbolize essence. A common name or universal description must represent an essence which is intrinsically possible, although it doesn't need to exist. In other words, the essence must be at least conceivable or imaginable. For example, a mermaid, a purple dragon, an elephant, a rose. But if I say a square circle, it is inconceivable. We can't imagine a square circle. Okay, so in this situation, it doesn't represent an essence. So let's review what we have studied. Language employs four kinds of symbols to represent reality. Two to symbolize the individual, which are the proper name and the empirical description. And two to symbolize the essence, which is common to all the individual members of a class. So we use a common name or a universal description to symbolize the essence.